Welcome back to the best YouTube channel for showcasing the best military feats. In today's video we are diving deep into Napoleon's most significant victory, and one which made him the legend he is today. It was the Battle of Three Emperors, more commonly known as the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805. Before we get into that, I'd like to ask you all to help support this brand new channel by liking and subscribing if you enjoy this video. This is the 4th battle video we have posted, so every new subscriber is greatly appreciated. Also, comment on any battles you would like to see us cover in the future. But without further ado, let's get into the important stuff. For starters, we need to know the strategic context behind today's battle. In early 1805, Austria and Russia joined the Third Coalition to help Britain and Sweden defeat Napoleonic France. Napoleon Bonaparte acts quickly before the coalition can concentrate its forces or entice Prussia to join them. Bonaparte marches east, pouncing on and destroying an Austrian army at Ulm before the Russian military arrives. Bonaparte continues his rapid advance to destroy the Russian army, nominally commanded by Tsar Alexander I, but in practice by Mikhail Kutuzov, but settles for occupying Vienna as Kutuzov escapes his trap. Kutuzov urges a fighting withdrawal to weaken Bonaparte, but Alexander favors a battle. Bonaparte feigns weakness, requesting a truce, appearing nervous, and even ceding the Pratzen Heights, key terrain between the two armies. This only confirms Alexander's intent to fight, and so an attack plan is drawn up. The stakes for this battle are huge and are as follows. A French victory would leave only one significant coalition army in the field, the Austrians in northern Italy, splintering the coalition. An Allied victory would encourage Prussia to join the coalition and threaten the long French lines of communication across Europe. Now let's get into the battle. The battlefield is relatively open, but the many gentle slopes can obscure visibility. The most prominent high features are the centrally located Pratzen Heights and the steeper but considerably smaller Santon Hill in the north. The lowest areas are near the water features, the most prominent being the Goldbach Creek and the Littawa River. The water features are largely frozen, although the Goldbach is still a significant obstacle with its rough, marshy ground and bridges covered by towns. Small towns dot the battlefield, with the largest being Lipan's Market in the northwest, Sokolnitz along the Goldbach in the south, and Austerlitz itself in the east. The Allies deploy according to the Weyrother plan, an Austrian staff officer, with Kutuzov tasked with carrying out the plan he cares little for. The Allies plan to use a strong left wing to defeat the French right wing along the Goldbach and swing north, severing lines of communication with Vienna and encircling the French army. Buxhowden commands the powerful Allied left wing of 35,000, with Kollarath leading its second wave, comprised of 15,000 exhausted Russian troops and Austrian raw recruits. While Buxhowden attacks, Constantine's elite Russian Imperial Guard is to occupy the Pratzen Heights and hold the Allied center. Bagration is to hold the Allied right, and Liechtenstein is to link the center and right, but deploys too far south. Unfortunately, the plan is only translated for the mainly Russian subordinates just before the battle begins, and is only vaguely understood. Bonaparte deploys his army expecting the Allies to attack his purposefully weak right wing, commanded by the talented Davout when he arrives with reinforcements. Davout is to hold the Goldbach at all costs, while the main attack force under Soult, concealed by rolling hills and fog at the center, storms the Pratzen Heights and encircles the deeply committed Allied left. Bernadotte is to support the main attack and occupy the Pratzen Heights when Soult strikes south. Lannes is to launch a secondary attack in the north to pin the Russian right, while Murat links the French left and center. Bonaparte's reserve consists of the elite French Imperial Guard under Bessières and a division under Oudinot. Kutuzov gives the order to advance. Buxhowden's advance guard, under Kienmeyer, advances on Telnitz in the south. This attack gradually escalates, although the French hold firm. Buxhowden's first column, under Doktorov, also advances but is slowed. Liechtenstein, realizing he is deployed in the wrong location, begins to march north, disrupting Doktorov's advance and delaying the rest of Buxhowden's columns. Liechtenstein finally extricates himself from the Allied left, allowing Buxhowden's columns to advance. Doktorov arrives to help Kienmeyer take Telnitz, forcing the French across the Goldbach, as Allied cavalry pour through the gap to engage the French cavalry. Buxhowden's second and third columns, under Langeron and Przhebyszewski, advance to storm Sokolnitz and Kobelnitz, but most of the Allied troops are jammed in the few crossings across the Goldbach. Davout and his reinforcements also arrive just in time, although not without incident. One of his units is fired upon by French troops, mistaking them for Allied troops. Despite facing only 10,000 French with 35,000 Allied troops, Buxhouden's attack slows as many of these troops are still stuck trying to cross the Goldbach. Langeron captures Sokolnitz while Doktorov briefly loses Telnitz to a counterattack by Davout. In the center, Liechtenstein finally reaches his ordered position beside Bagration. Alexander meanwhile pressures Kutuzov to order Kolorath's column to begin advancing. Bonaparte instructs Soult to prepare his troops but to wait for the Allied columns, delayed by Liechtenstein's mistake, to abandon the Pratzen Heights. As the Pratzen Heights empty of Allied troops and the Allied left deeply committed against Davout along the Goldbach, Bonaparte orders Soult to advance with Bernadotte in support. Soult's advance is rapid and only checked on his extreme right, where St. Hilaire's division is surprised by Allied troops in the valley around Pratzen. Only Langeron senses the danger and detaches troops to his rear, while Kutuzov turns what few troops he can to meet the French. Constantine moves up the guard, unaware his unit is now in the front line. Buxhouden's attack stalls, although fierce combat continues along the Goldbach, as French troops storm Sokolnitz and Bonaparte sends his reserve under Oudinot to shore up Davout. Soult's attack also hangs in the balance as his troops face stiff resistance by Kolorath's troops. Soult's right division under St. Hilaire is hit on three sides by Allied troops, but St. Hilaire orders a prompt bayonet attack, ending the threat. Further north, Constantine seizes Blasowitz from Bernadotte with part of the guard. Lannes and Bagration also cautiously advance against each other, while Liechtenstein enters the battle with an attack on Lannes. In the center, Soult takes control of the Pratzen Heights as Kolorath's troops begin to break. Bernadotte retakes Blasowitz with Lannes's support as the battle to the north becomes general. Bagration attempts to turn Lannes's left and assaults the French position on Santon Hill. Lannes counterattacks against Liechtenstein, prompting an all-out Allied cavalry attack. Bonaparte orders Soult to quarter-turn right but wait for the battle in the north to develop before advancing any further. Kolorath begins to retreat regardless. Constantine takes advantage of this lull to hit Soult's left division, under Vandamme, as it turns. Fortunately for the French, there are no Allied reserves to exploit this success. In the north, Lannes and Murat repel Bagration and Liechtenstein's attack. Bonaparte prepares for the final advance by ordering Bessieres to move the guard up. In the north, Bagration realizes his attack has failed and retreats, pursued by Lannes and Murat. Bessieres' guard cavalry engages Constantine's guard cavalry until Bernadotte belatedly shows up to occupy the Pratzen Heights and support Soult's advance south. Bonaparte orders Soult to advance south while Davout counterattacks along the front a final time. Soult's advance is rapid as Vandamme on his left takes Ogezd, isolating the Allied left from the rest of the army. Buxhouden's subordinates try to extricate their troops as the French advance on their rear but collapse and flee south as best they can. In the north, Bagration withdraws unimpeded. Buxhouden fails to exercise any positive control as the Allies rout. The French captured 12,000 prisoners and 180 guns in the rout. Some troops flee across the frozen Sachan Pond only to have French artillery break the ice, drowning up to 2,000. Buxhouden's subordinates thereafter direct their troops to retreat southeast across the Litawa. Doktorov and Kienmeyer cover the retreat of the few remaining troops. Bagration and Constantine also withdraw east. The French victory was decisive, at least temporarily. The Austrians immediately sought peace, giving up a large war indemnity and much of northern Italy in the Treaty of Pressburg, while the Third Coalition collapsed. France and Prussia even agreed to a treaty of alliance, but it did not last. Prussia began mobilizing in August 1806, soon to be joined by Britain, Russia, and Sweden in the Fourth Coalition against France. Bonaparte again convincingly defeated the Allies in 1806 to 1807. Austerlitz did not even keep the Austrians down for long. In 1809, the Austrians joined Britain in the Fifth Coalition, winning brief glory against Bonaparte at the Battle of Aspern-Wessling before being defeated at the Battle of Wagram. Well, that's it for today, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. Please comment on any battles you would like to see us cover in the future. Bye for now. We will see you next time for more great military feat.